I think I found the coolest spot at all of LA Convention Center here at the EA executive meeting rooms upstairs. The AC is really cranked up high, and I had to close my jacket, but I caught up with Lucy here, who's got a couple of exciting games here at E3 this year. And last time I saw you was back at GDC when you held that brilliant presentation, and where you sort of wrapped SimCity. I was a little bit disappointed there was so little of the game, but you wrapped it into sort of a context, a greater context, and that's something that sort of almost strikes me as a little bit pompous, almost like, what are they trying to achieve with this? But can you just sort of, in your own words, tell us what that was all about?
Well, we announced that we are working on SimCity for the PC, and it's going to be available in February of 2013. And what was important about it is that we've completely rebuilt the underlying simulation, and we call it GlassBox. And then at GDC, we shared some videos about what GlassBox is all about. It's about what you see is what we sim. So we're taking it to a whole new level in terms of that cause and effect, so that your choices really do affect the sims who live in your city, and you can see every little bit of it. But it also reaches out into the region because it's the first multiplayer SimCity. So you can make choices in one city and they affect another city. And we have a whole world of SimCities that you get connected to. So you can kind of achieve leaderboard status against the entire world of cities, or your friends, make the cleanest city, the dirtiest city. It's really kind of up to you because you get to explore the space.
But it is also a game that sort of makes you think about your actions, and that I think that was what you were trying to sort of highlight there at GDC, right?
It was. I think what we have in SimCity, and it's been the case through the years, is that when you play it, you really think differently about the world around you. And so we partnered up with the Games for Change group, and we wanted to really say that there's something about playing this game that does put you in the mindset of how the world works around you. It's sort of one of Maxis' superpowers. We take real-world systems, we deconstruct them, and we put them back together again, and then let you play with that. And we don't have a point of view on it. We let you explore the failure states or the positive states, and I think just by virtue of letting you have that kind of freedom, the possibility space, that you actually do begin to think about, wow, there are those kind of consequences in the real world too. And so I think there's an extra beat and something that I'm also really proud of in SimCity that does get you to think about it differently. And at the same time, it's a game. I mean, it's silly, quirky, really unexpected surprises because, I mean, you never know when a giant lizard might be coming stomping down your street, and you got to figure out how you're going to rectify that situation.
And I think that's taken to an even greater extent with SimCity Social because, after all, it is a bit of a threshold for everyone to sort of go out, buy a PC game and buy the box or download it on Origin or wherever you buy your games. But on Facebook, almost everyone is on Facebook, and sort of getting that experience there, you can even affect sort of your actual circle of friends even more so.
Very much so. Both games have that sort of social connectivity, but the social game is really for that audience. It's playful, it's dynamic, which you would expect from a SimCity, so that it does build up and it does kind of push back at you. It is this little gem, and yet it's also really social and in a fun way. You get to be either a friend or a foe to your neighboring cities who are owned by your friends. And by ultimately doing friendly or fiendish actions in their cities, you gain a currency that you can come back and spend in your own city on special buildings that can really change the overall personality of your city. So, really ominous buildings or really lovely ones that you can share. So it's kind of plays to that whole creativity part of what SimCity is all about as well.
So it's more of a complementary sort of experience than rather than sort of mirroring that experience of SimCity.
Yeah, I think it's important that when you have a brand, you want to make sure that you understand what the audience wants on different platforms. When you're playing on your computer at home, I mean, our deep simulation and the fact that you're going to be able to really play with your friends in a multiplayer region, and that you can really understand that cause and effect, that your choices are super meaningful, that's right for the computer's environment. In Facebook, it's about, you want to make sure that it's really accessible, that players can kind of get it and have fun and have that playful experience. So both have that sort of the essence of what SimCity's about. It's more about how much time are you going to spend in it at any one moment of play.
So if we move back to SimCity, the GlassBox engine, obviously very impressive what we've seen of it, but what kind of investment has that been for you, and how long have you worked on trying to make this a possibility to do SimCity?
Well, it really, the team back at Maxis in Emeryville has spent, many of them are real, they've spent time working on other SimCities. So they have this long vested understanding of how the simulation works, which used to be really statistical. What GlassBox was intended to do was to really make it much more individual, to make every Sim's life as important as it could be in the entire city. And every kind of piece in which we connect to it, whether it be power or happiness or sickness or any of those systems, really tie it in a very personal way. So the team set a couple of bars for ourselves, and I mentioned one was what you see is what we sim. And the other one is that the interface is dynamic and really kind of leverages infographics in a very compelling way, which is to give you information about what's going on under the hood in a way that you can interact with it and take action right there while it's visible. So no longer are you jumping off to graphs and sort of ledgers. We're putting the data right in the scene in a way that makes it fun to interact with.
So, but I suppose there's an ease of sort of showing a graph, then people know what to do. Sort of how do you sort of make it as easy to understand as possible when things are going on, because everyone might not get exactly what's going on.
We kind of do it in tiers. So we bring you along with a story to tell in the user interface. First, certain systems will start to flash red in your user interface, and that gives you an indication, something's up in the sort of police and crime, in my city. And you can go then investigate by just turning on an overlay that goes right into the city. And it'll show where you've got your police stations, where your police units are, as well as where criminal activity is taking place in sort of a heat map, sort of yellow, green, red, and so that you understand, whoa, these are the areas. You also understand systems that can help improve that, whether it be education or your economy or where you place police. So now you can ultimately analyze it and come up with a strategy on how you're going to affect that. We've also got yet another tier of information, and I call it, stripping away the pretty, because we white out all the graphics of the city, leaving only the information that's about crime and police system. And so now you can really kind of work it, and you've kind of taken all of the other information out, and you really see what's going on in GlassBox. It's kind of fun. It's also a really pretty view.
All right. So to me, it's sort of doing away with stats sort of opens up players not to sort of max out their city, but actually be creative about it. And sort of, is that sort of the creative that you want to unlock?
Well, creativity has always been a part of SimCity, because just building your city is a very creative experience. We've added a few dimensions to that as well. One, you've got, first of all, curvy roads, and every fan who has ever played SimCity has been asking us for that forever. We got them. So now you kind of draw.
No more New York.
No grid systems. We've got European cities. But what we can do is you carve it into the landscape. It's very tactile. We've got buildings that are modular, so they come in different components. You can have the base headquarters, and then you can add garages. So for instance, in a fire station, you add the garages, and each garage you add has a whole fire engine to it. Meaning you can either decide to invest in that one and have further coverage because of 2 engines, or invest in an all new engine house and put it there. And so it's giving you choices in a way that's also creative, because you can design your own layout. And additionally, what we've also done is city specialization. So it used to be that a lot of the SimCities kind of ended up everybody kind of going to that big metropolis of a city. What we've done is said there's an economic base, a reason why people live there. And we've started to come up with sort of unlockable buildings that your businesses will move in that really have an economic center to them. Some of them are, for instance, a coal mining city that's tapping into the natural resources. Now, if you kind of continue along that track, you can end up in a very industrial city. It can be very smoggy. You might have some consequences from that. But it's brick and smokestacks, and the commercial buildings that build because of the sim are going to reflect that kind of population. You may want to invest down a tourist track, and you're going to be getting tourist attractions like casinos and parks and botanical gardens. That's going to be an incredibly different looking city. So your choices and how you invest in your city also gives a lot of differentiation, which is great, because when you play multiplayer, which is in a lot of ways a cooperative experience, in the region you get to build great works together. And you want to have different players able to contribute kind of different things to that. So downstairs in our demo, we're building an international airport, which is going to work not only for the industrial city, because you can ship from there, but also our tourist city, who are stretched across the region, and they're both supporting it with resources and workers and investment, and then when it builds out, they both get the benefit.
And then you compete together against the rest of the world.
Yeah, exactly. So that's the other fun thing. Everybody is connected these days in terms of how they use their computers and everything. So what we can do is take the data from the simulation and give you a sense of what's happening in the world of SimCities. Are people investing in education or not? And we can also introduce dynamic challenges that might actually pose a question of, can we reduce the carbon footprint in the world of SimCities? Or could you achieve the absolute top status in the cleanest city to live in, or the fittest, or any of those? Or, we've always said if you really want to own the bottom of the ranks, you can do that too, and just make the grungiest, most horrible city, and it's still sustainable. That's the whole point.
All right. Thank you very much for your time.
Thank you very much.